My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my ranking of the 5 Frank Darabont movies. Now, Frank Darabont is a very interesting person because he got his start writing horror movies like Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, which is such a great movie. He also wrote the remake of The Blob, which is another really good movie. And then he did a TV movie called Buried Alive, but then he went over to these critically acclaimed dramas in The Shawshank Redemption in The Green Mile. He then did the Majestic, which was less than well received. And then he did The Mist, and he also started The Walking Dead, which turned into a huge deal. But he hasn't done anything since. And it's just so weird that a guy with this much range and this much talent has just vanished. Like, where did he go? I would love for him to make another horror movie. I would love for him to make another movie like The Shawshank Redemption. It's, if he got enough money and he retired and he's living life good, I'm happy for him. But at the same time, I think this guy is such a great director and has so few movies under his belt that I would have loved to see more from him. But let's talk about his movies from worst to best. But in last place, his worst movie, and this is the only movie of his I don't like, and it's a Majestic. I love Jim Carrey, so I was hoping I'd watch this movie and be blown away by his performance and be blown away by this movie, but it did absolutely nothing for me. I think Jim Carrey is fine enough. Martin Landau is the one performance that really stands out, and I think this movie could have been a perfectly fine 90-minute long movie about nostalgia and hope in tough times. But the movie at 2.5 hours long is just way too long, and there's no need for that kind of length when it comes to this story. It's very long, very boring. You got this romance that you couldn't care less about, and then it introduces this whole communist angle that did not work for me in any way. So that's why it's in last place. In fourth place is The Mist, and I'm shocked this movie is ranked as low as it is here because when I first watched this movie, I absolutely loved it, and I was so excited to watch it again, and it still does some things right. Like, I think Thomas Jane does a really good job here, but Marcia Gay Hayden is the standout. Her performance is legitimately terrifying, and I love it how this movie explores human nature, especially when faced with the end times and what that does to people psychologically. I think it's really effective on that level. But as a creature feature, it just doesn't hold up in any way. It comes across as unintentionally goofy. It's not scary or tense at all, and the monsters look way too goofy to take seriously in the least bit. If you look at a movie like The Thing, which came out in 1982, it still holds up incredibly well because they used practical effects. So they should have done that with this movie, or they should have kept all the monsters hidden in the mist and just do it like that one scene where that guy's out in the mist and the rope goes up and down and just approach it in that direction, because I just can't take the monsters seriously when the CGI looks this bad. And on top of that, I like what the ending is trying to do, but it just feels way too contrived and I don't buy it for a second. A really dark idea, but in its execution it falls short, so that's why The Mist is in fourth place. In third place is Buried Alive, which is really funny because in the beginning of that review, it was before I rewatched The Mist, and I said that this movie isn't on the same level as The Mist, and now I rank Buried Alive above The Mist. So funny how that all worked out. But this was a first time watch, and I really enjoyed it. The first two acts are a little slow, but I thought the last act delivered in every way. It goes in such a unique, unexpected direction for the last act, which I really enjoyed, and I think Jennifer Jason Leigh is really good in this movie. You've got a good solid story. It's got the perfect amount of Hitchcock and Tales from the Crypt put together to form a really entertaining movie, so that's why it's in third place. Now in second place, we've got The Green Mile, which is a huge leap in quality because this movie is just on a whole other level from the other three. This movie is so beautifully acted. Tom Hanks gives one of his best performances ever. Michael Clarke Duncan is incredible here, and the rest of the performances are really great too. I think this movie looks great. I think Thomas Newman's score is incredible, but most of all, the story here is just so very strong. It's got so much emotion behind it, and it deals with big ideas of death and how it's inevitable and how we all deal with it and how it's all around us. And just, I think it deals with that in such a profound way, and I just find this movie to be so emotionally powerful. I absolutely love it, so that's why it's in second place. But in first place is The Shawshank Redemption, rated the greatest movie of all time on IMDb, and even though it's not my favorite, it rightfully deserves that place. I think this is such an amazing movie in every way. All the performances are absolutely incredible, with Morgan Freeman stealing the show, but Tim Robbins is also really great. And I just think this is a perfectly told story of a man falsely accused of a crime he didn't commit, and how he touches the lives of those around him in prison, and how he keeps finding hope in what would seem like hopeless times, and how that hope can be contagious. And I just think it is such a genuinely moving and uplifting story, and the ending just delivers in everything you want it to. To watch the warden get his comeuppance, to see Andy get away, and to see Andy and Red to reunite, it's just such a perfect ending. You know, everyone who watches this movie loves it, and it's no wonder why, because the script is great, the directing is great, the music is great, the emotion is there, the performance is great. There's what's not to love about this movie. It's one of the greatest movies of all time, and that's why it's my favorite Frank Darabont movie. But what's your ranking of Frank Darabont's filmography? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.